What's up guys, and welcome to the 18th tutorial on my PHP backend. And in this tutorial we're going to continue with the topic that we started in the previous one. And the first thing that we need to verify is that we have rewrite modules enabled in Apache configuration. And my configuration file is located at this point, since I use MAMP, but yours configuration file is probably going to be located somewhere else depending on what kind of environment you have. So in the Apache there is a file called pt18.conf, and if you just have a look at how it looks, it has all these kind of settings for the server, and for example the port that is going to be using, and also all the modules that are enabled. So what we're going to do is we're going to find rewrite modules in here and making sure that it's not being commented out like this one is, for example. And I think it's pretty far down. Mine is here, rewrite module. And of course you can just use grep if you want to find it immediately, and just making sure that it's not commented out. So as soon as you get that figured out, let's continue with the implementation. So at this point you should have a text string of the URL variable, and this is just the text string. So what we want to do is we want to use a function called explode that is basically a string split, and we want to split it by the slash character. So let's do that. So we don't need this part anymore, so we're going to use the get variable, and then making sure that it's set, of course. So we want to make sure that it's set, and then the URL like this, and then we want to do everything that we've done here. So I'm going to copy paste that, and I'm also going to remove this because we won't need it anymore. So instead of using the params here and the get variables, we want to use the stuff from the URL variable. So I'm going to create a new variable called route, and I'm going to use the explode function on slash, and I want to use it on the get variable for URL. And I'm also going to var dump it just so you can see how it looks at this point. So yeah, I get some kind of errors here as well, and the let's see how it looks like. So down here you can see that we managed to split. You can ignore everything else up here. So if you just look at this row down here, you see that the 0th index, it has the controller name, and the first index it has the action name, and then the second index has the for value. So I have like separated all of these into different indexes in the array. So we're going to use those for doing the routing instead. So now we don't need any of this anymore. So I'm just going to delete it. And then we're going to replace the controller name. So we need to move this up before. And then we're going to use the 0th index in here, like this, which will be the controller name. We're going to remove the var dump, and down here we're going to use the first index, which will be the action name. But we also need to pass all the parameters to the function. For example, when we want to get a color by ID, we need all the params for the actual action also. And for that we can use a function called array array slice. And you can see a pretty good example here. You take the variable, the array that you have, and you also give it an index where you want to slice it. So if I give it a 2, it'll slice it on the second index, so it'll be this subarray that will be returned to me. So in our implementation, we're going to do this on a route variable. So we're going to remove the controller name and then the action name, and then basically just take whatever is left. So I'm going to call the params, and then I'm going to give it the array, which is the route, and then a 2 for the second index, and it's getting passed here to the functions. So just save everything and try to see if it works. Alright, so it seems to be working. I get a color red. We can try another one, see if we get another color, and we do. So the only thing we have to do is remove all the stuff that we're echoing out. Alright, so it works. So as you can see, we managed to get a little bit nicer routes, and also managed to deal with parameters and stuff. And also we managed to separate everything into atomic components, or variables, I should say. So at this point we can build any kind of routing that we want, because currently we only have the most basic routing we could, just to make it understandable so you can follow along. But you can imagine how you can use pattern matching for mapping of controller name and action name and parameters to a action that we want to run in a controller instance. So you can think a bit about that, and the pros and cons of different matching that you can do to make it have a good interface for the consumer of the API. And I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you on the next tutorial.